Good evening and welcome back to another episode of The Longing. Today we are going to be continuing to read the Iliad by Homer, and if we happen to come up against a good spot to stop briefly, we're going to stop and rewind time because we are starting to run a little bit low. But let's begin. The next, though distant, Menelaus succeeds, while thus young Nestor animates his steeds. Now, my generous pair, exert your force, not that we hope to match Tydides' horse, since great Minerva wings their rapid way, and gives their lord the honours of the day. But reach Atrides shall his mare outgo, your swiftness vanquished by a female foe. Through your neglect, if lagging on the plain, the last ignoble gift be all we gain. No more shall Nestor's hand your food supply. The old man's fury rises, and ye die. Haste then, yon narrow road before our sight presents the occasion, could we use it right. Thus he the coursers at their master's threat, with quicker steps the sounding champaign beat. And now Antilochus with nice survey observes the compass of the hollow way. 'Twas where by force of wintry torrents torn, fast by the road a precipice was worn. Here where but one could pass to shun the throng, the Spartan hero's chariot smoked along. Close up the venturous youth resolves to keep, still edging near, and bears him toward the steep. Atrides trembling casts his eye below, and wonders at the rashness of his foe. Hold, stay your steeds, what madness thus to ride? This narrow way, take larger field, he cried. Or both must fall, Atrides cried in vain. He flies more fast, and throws up all the rein. Far as an able arm the disc can send, when youthful rivals their full force extend. So far Antilochus thy chariot flew, before the king he cautious backward drew. His horse compelled, foreboding in his fears, the rattling ruing of the clashing cars. The floundering coursers rolling on the plain, and conquest lost through frantic haste to gain. But thus upbraids his rival as he flies, Go, furious youth, ungenerous and unwise. Go, but expect not, I'll the prize resign, add perjury to fraud, and make it thine. Then to his steeds with all his force he cries, Be swift, be vigorous, and regain the prize. Your rivals, destitute of youthful force, with fainting knees shall labour in the course, and yield the glory yours the steeds obey. Already at their heels they wing their way, and seem already to retrieve the day. Meantime the Grecians in a ring beheld the coursers bounding o'er the dusty field. The first who marked them was the Cretan king, high on a rising ground above the ring. The monarch sat from whence the sure survey, he well observed the chief who led the way, and heard from far his animating cries, and saw the foremost steed with sharpened eyes, on whose broad front a blazing of shining white, like the full moon, stood obvious to the sight. He saw, and rising to the Greeks begun, Ah, yonder horse discerned by me alone? Or can ye all another chief survey, and other steeds than lately led the way? Those, though the swiftest by some god withheld, lie sure disabled in the middle field. For since the goal they doubled round the plain, I search to find them, but I search in vain. Perchance the reins forsook the driver's hand, and turned too short, he tumbled on the strand. Shot from the chariot while his coursers stray, with frantic fury from the destined way. Rise then some other and inform my sight, For these dim eyes perhaps discern not right. Yet sure he seems to judge by shape and air, the great Catolian chief renowned in war. Old man Oileus rashly thus replies, Thy tongue too hastily confers the prize of those who view the course nor sharpest eyed, nor youngest yet the readiest to decide. Eumellius's steeds, his high bounding in the chase, still as at first unrivalled lead the race. I well discern him as he shakes the rein, and hear his shouts victorious o'er the plain. Thus he, Idomeneus, incensed rejoined, barbarous of words and arrogant of mind, contentious prince of all the Greeks beside, the last in merit as the first in pride. To vile reproach what answer can we make? A goblet or a tripod let us stake, and be the king, the judge, the most unwise, will learn their rashness when they pay the price. He said, and Ajax, by mad passion borne, stern had replied, fierce scorn enhancing scorn, to fell extremes, but Thetis' godlike son, awful amidst them, rose and thus begun. Forbear, ye chiefs, reproachful to contend, much would ye blame should others thus offend. And lo, the approaching steeds your contest end. No sooner had he spoke, but thundering near, drives through a stream of dust the charioteer. High o'er his head the circling lash he wields, his bounding horses scarcely touch the fields. His car amidst the dusty whirlwind rolled, bright with the mingled blaze of tin and gold. Refulgent through the cloud no eye could find the track his flying wheels had left behind. And the fierce coursers urged their rapid pace, so swift it seemed a flight, and not a race. Now victor at the goal Tydides stands, quits his bright car, and springs upon the sands. From the hot steeds the sweaty torrents stream, the well-plied whip is hung athwart the beam. With joy brave Sthenelos receives the prize, the tripod vase, and dame with radiant eyes. These to the ships his train triumphant leads, the chief himself unyokes the panting steeds. Young Nestor follows, who by art not force o'erpassed Atrides second in the course. Behind Atrides urged the race more near than to the courser in his swift career, the following car just touching with his heel, and brushing with his tail the whirling wheel. Such and so narrow now the space between, the rivals late so distant on the green. So soon swift Cthee her lost ground regained, one length, one moment had the race obtained. Merion pursued at greater distance still, with tardier coursers and inferior skill. Last came Admetus, thy unhappy son, slow dragged the steeds his battered chariot on. Achilles saw, and pitying thus begun, Behold the man whose matchless art surpassed the sons of Greece, the ablest, yet the last. Fortune denies, but justice bids us pay, since great Tydides bears the first away. To him the second honours of the day. And with that, we're actually going to come to the end of the reading, because we're not going to have enough time to do the rest. That is to be done. So, excuse me, we are going to leave the reading there. We unfortunately didn't come to a nice natural stopping point. So hopefully in the next couple of days we are going to reach that point where we can reverse time a little bit more. Because otherwise we are just going to have to pick a point and just go, at this point we are reversing time. So hopefully we find a natural one. If not, we'll just force it. Anyway, thank you very much for joining today. I hope you all have a wonderful morning, evening, afternoon or night, no matter what time of day it is, I hope you all have a wonderful one of it. And as always, we will be back tomorrow for more of The Longing. Goodbye.